Shall we begin?
Yeah.
Shall we begin? So, all right. Labrim had a long speech that I'm not going to play on my platform right now. Maybe in my live. So stay tuned for my live. Labrim dropped the set and gave a long speech and a long lecture about why he's dropping the set. To cut the chase, Labrim
Grab life by the chicken fingers and save the day with hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries.
led so many young boys to a life sentence in prison. Let me take this jacket off like I'm in the 5th grade and I'm about to have a fight. Shall we begin? Labrim, you led so many, and let me say this, right? When you dealing with them young boys, like, for example, K-Flock, D-Thing, them boys is young. They got room forever. They got room forever to make mistakes. And sometimes they don't. But when you a grown man, you ever watch that movie with Bobby Johnson, when he was in the cell with the Muslim brother, and OG Bobby Johnson kept talking silly and childish, and he grabbed him and said, "Recognize a man."
So the video is 10 minutes and 19 seconds. This is the 2-minute and 41-second mark. So he's introducing Labrim as a former gang member who used to, in other words, be a shot caller and got a lot of people in jail put in life for whatever crimes they was charged with. So he takes this synopsis after and he compares it to a movie to where an inmate stood on ground and stepped to another inmate. You know what I'm saying? So he has a reputation, Hassan Campbell being, he has a reputation of himself of stepping to other big name gangsters, so to say. Okay. So to look at the content and to understand the content, you have to see what he's using it for. He's basically using this platform as a self-escape. Okay. A man back in the day with a temper who has children now and has a gateway to get out. You understand that? So now, is it fair to Labrim for content to be made by somebody who potentially might not like him? And this person is just a regular person, just like Labrim is. He doesn't have Hassan Campbell, Hassan Campbell doesn't have any license or any other type of certifications or documentations to take anybody's children away. He doesn't have anything to make any type of public announcement against someone. He doesn't have this license, you know what I'm saying, to back him up, because these people use the license, and this is, once again, this is all federal. Even though these places are, we are stationed in the cities, the towns, the villages, the areas or whatever, the boroughs, these places, but it's still federal guidelines. Just if you're unfamiliar with the federal, just know the whole federal category, anything federal, is just above you at this point in time at life. All right? And it always has and it always will be until we see something different. So, being that Hassan Campbell doesn't have the proper grooming, seasoning, or education to produce content in a certification required type place, then he should not be allowed to make a individual video about somebody's legal situation. Right? Now you say, what about the freedom of press and the freedom of speech, which is all the First Amendment or whatever? Well, the breakdowns and how they categorize it or whatever. Now, that's the argument. But what the unhidden argument is, the unhidden argument that spawns from that, the freedom, the Constitution, freedom of press, freedom of speech, is the fight. You have to understand that it's a fight. You see how you're arguing your point with somebody verbally? There's always an angle where a fight breaks out. Always. And there's something called fighting words. All right? So people, you live and die by that. If I didn't touch you, you shouldn't hit me. But then there's threatening and fighting words. And that is categorized as degree. Okay? Angle, degree.
See, the thing is that you led so many soldiers onto a battlefield fighting for a cause that was your cause, Labrin. You was old enough to know better than what you was doing. You wasn't a kid. You made grown man decisions that led people into life bids, into that battlefield called the penitentiary. And now that Trump says he's waging war on gang. You want to run like a little bitch? I'll be your Uncle Barry. Not on my watch. See?
All right, let me give you some quick detail before I flash back into the video. Gang life, RICO life, it boils down to federal guidelines. So by you even talking about somebody else being in the gang, everybody's guilty by association. Just back in 2004, when the recession hit, they made certain guidelines go under. And that's how all of this is possible. But it is still a part of the law. They do not get rid of the law. It's a difference between common law and uncommon law. Uncommon law is what the state, the city, the judges, the prosecution, even the defense, they obey it. But it does not matter if it's stronger to the people. You see what I'm saying? Such as that. What he just said. How he did it. If you're calling me my father's last name, and that's not my last name, that's a problem. That's an issue. It can cause a fight. 2 verbal arguments is just a verbal fight. So when it becomes physical, you have to see about the word degree. Once again.
If more presidents had to go on the front line and bust their AR-15s, they wouldn't be sending young kids to war. And with that being said, La Bren, you made conscious decisions to destroy young dudes' lives, older dudes' lives, to fit your lifestyle. And now, you want to leave niggas in the penitentiary. They got life beds on the battlefield by themselves so you can go home. After you gave out instructions to some of them young boys, and they will never, ever, I mean ever, be able to go home.
So as you can see, when I bring back the word degree, Hassan Campbell is stepping to this man about something. Okay? Whether he wants to talk to him face to face, or if it turns into a squabble, it's just some tension there. So judges and prosecution, they decide amongst racism, should we just let it go until somebody drops or until it stops? So they start changing the system externally instead of internally. Common law, uncommon law. Certain things is just going to get you fined, whether you like it or not. Certain things is going to get you evicted. Certain things is get you sued. There's just certain complaints that you have to handle first. Now, there's dumb things that happen in society. Example, you got an older person, he's about 68 at a hospital by himself. He's huffing and puffing, he looks sick, and he might have some type of pneumonia. Now, another person comes to the emergency room, and this person is clearly younger than this older man, but this other person is in pain because he has maybe a severely twisted ankle, or probably some type of, sprain or something that he needs to be seen quickly. Right? This is the mistakes that people make. And we see it all the time. And I know you've seen it. And listen, I'm a 38-year-old man. They never take the guy that twists his ankle in first to the nurse. They make the younger kids sit behind the sicker older person that's not from this country. So just see the word degree that happens in certain places, right? And now you have judges, prosecutions, and jury. So if you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and just despise something, and then somebody matches it for a neutral of a second, it just matches forever. So everybody is stained internally. Somebody is burned internally or scarred internally. That's why they have common law and uncommon law. So what New York stupid asses do, y'all take the internal suffering that somebody has, and you try to make it common law that the person has to suffer that for some specific reason. But when it happens to your kind, you didn't treat it that way. So that's why we're stuck with racism. I don't know what La Brim is. Brown skin guy, maybe Caribbean, could be Hispanic. Hispanic is the black, Caribbean or white Caribbean or whatever they say it is, or whatever. And I don't think they get along. But Hassan is, like I said, I don't know La Brim's track record, but Hassan has a track record. And he's using this platform as a what? scapegoat. So this is Angle Degree. Now, is this fair for LaBrim? Does Hassan Campbell have followers and fans that'll put it on LaBrim at a New York Fried Chicken or at a Kennedy's Fried Chicken? These are the things that the federal government opened the police eyes to, because now you have to pick a side one way or another. And one day, just one day, you're going to be absolutely wrong when you choose a side. And then it could be life or death. That's why they grant you life when you get judged. Or they grant you death and put you to sleep forever. So this is the word degree. This is federal guidelines now. The cities and the state is terrified. That's why the federal government intervenes, because police aren't proactive, being the proper citizens, and they pass the test, and it's really not showing in longevity. Maybe you were groomed or maybe you cheated. That's called angle, the word degree.
Got offended years back because I was the first one that made a video that went viral all over the internet talking about why I stopped being blood on the East Coast. Remember, I had over 1 billion streams until I lost my monetization. It took my videos down. And it's crazy.
Real quick, he has a point, because I seen everybody made an alliance with Islam that wouldn't be associated with the Bloods. So it was like, you can't sit up there and gangbang and then try to come together in a different language with a different different belief in the unknown of religion. So when he says he went to the West Coast and found out what it really meant, and a person like me as a young kid knew what it really meant, the people in the East Coast did not know what it really meant. Just like they didn't know DDG was a superstar. Yeah, he was in 2004 when he was a kid over here. And now he has a kid in New York. So I'm just saying, the word degree, and Hassan was there with DDG. Would you believe that? And Hassan seen Frost and Kai get cut off of gang activity. So at the East Coast, if the Bloods if that's what y'all doing, that's what y'all doing. But when you start lying, right? If you lie on somebody and say he's in this specific gang when he's in the opposite gang, you just show some type of molestation to the cops. But the federal government is trying to teach the cops, you have to be on it way, way worse than you really think. In Chicago, right? Chicago got a hang of it, just like the other Commonwealth states got a different view of life when you look at the law, because that's what it abides, life in the law. You just can't live peacefully the way you want over here. It always has to be some type of law. So is Hassan Campbell picking on somebody, or is he liberating somebody? Is this going to start sets banging out and then making content, right?
How y'all sit back and y'all watch the youth run around, and I always say this. You ever sat in the living room and you see the coffee table and you see the sharp edges of the coffee table sitting in the middle of the floor, and that clumsy little kid that keeps falling, and all you can picture and visualize is that kid banging his head on the coffee table. So you move the coffee table out of the way. You dudes seen that coffee table. Y'all seen them clumsy kids falling? LaBrim, and you didn't care.
Okay, I can talk about that, because I was a clumsy kid. I had a whole bunch of falls on the coffee table. I had cats that split my face open. I had all types of, little nooks and crannies in my eyes, and other types of fat surgeries that people don't even see, and I know that for a fact. And that's after being burned in front of a white woman, a fat racist white woman, outside in a bizarre, like I was in a bizarre accident. That's how I got burned. Just like the scar on my head, I was in another bizarre accident. So disabilities and bizarreness go hand in hand with a person like me because of my manners and my etiquettes. So if I pick up on your characteristics and I judge you, then so be it. Because I don't give a fuck if you judge me, right? I've been through too much, and I seen niggas, if La Brim is that way, want me to fall. And I seen people save me, such as Jadakiss, and he sent the whole army to chase me when I was a wild kid and I lived up the hill on 3 Warburton, and I used to run out the building with the skateboard and sit on the skateboard, and I used to, yes I did, I used to drive and ride my skateboard down the hill. And if y'all know where I'm at, from Warburton down the ravine, I was a real adventurous little kid when I was younger, but I knew what I was doing because I used to be able to catch myself on this skateboard, like on a car, on a car bumper. But it was a lot of times where I was around cousins and stuff like that, the abusive cousins that used to hit me and beat me up and shit like that. When I was around them, they had friends that didn't give a fuck about me and used to hit me. And those are the older cats I used to punch in the face. That's what elevated me to who I am now. Because it was people like, if Hassan is telling me he's like the kids that was older and bigger than me that used to just hop on jokes on me and stuff like that, and I used to stole off and punch him in the face when I was a little kid, then yeah, I could care less about La Brim. Do you see what I mean about content creating, making about what you're making it, and then receiving a backlash? So if I'm a fan, just so happen I'm a mutual cousin of a cousin with Hassan Campbell, I'm gonna be on go with La Brim if it ever went down that way. You see what I'm saying? If I was a negative dude like that, you know. Now you know negative and positives, they show and then they disappear. You see the effect? Like I'm not the other effect, you see? Alright. Degree, angle, not a diploma. Alright? This is angle. This is what they judge you on. The judge, the courts, the judges, the prosecution, the jury, after high school, they don't give a fuck about you. Why? Because when you're in kindergarten, they don't give a fuck about you. It's not your record, it's probably your skin.
Flag? Instead of leading, because you in the hellfire, you in the belly of the beast, and you want to drop your flag?
So to give another sharper description of La Brim is, he works out, he's athletic. He has a lot of red tattoos. And Hassan Campbell went to the West Coast and found out that the Bloods are actually using molestation in Arabic and in Islam. All right? So he drops his flag. He doesn't want anything to do with the Bloods. Now, there's a content creator named Blue Blood Sports TV where I had to run game on him, right? And he no longer practices Islam. Okay? Angle, degree. That's what Shahada means. Shahada is degree. Shahada is angle. Shahada is the Muslim blessing when you become Muslim.
After you led them to destruction, you don't want to go to the law library and make that your permanent residency to lead them out of the destruction that you sent them into? I am not gang. I do not gang bang.
Now, I'm very hypercritical on Hassan Campbell. I've come down on Hassan Campbell many times. Now, is it fair to him if I do not believe that he's portraying La Brim as this master molester and this, aggressive, hands-on physical person that still gangbangs and younger kids are scared of him, and he's about to be there or whatever so he can live life easy? Do I think Hassan Campbell is smart enough to pick up on that? Absolutely. So I'm not going to sit up here and say he's lying completely. This is how an audience is built federally. You understand? You see how the federal government can get you blackballed? You see how actors and comedians in certain shows are blackballed? You see what happened with Drake? Drake really wowed out a long time ago when Degrassi was there and they were fucking dogs. And they showed this nigga afterwards, and he had this super geek gizmo look. Like he transformed into a different person right in front of everybody. They took the camera off the nigga and everything. I remember Drake. And it came back out that he's back fucking the dogs. So a person like me, when I get silent and I start listening to that shit, and his music, and he has fans or whatever that are that much younger than him, because what, Google was just created, certain apps was just created. You know, Facebook was 2004, 2005-ish. So there's people, you know, I'm just saying, younger than Facebook, older than Facebook, and younger than Facebook, way older than Facebook. You see what I'm saying? So time is crazy. So he picks up on homie grooming people or whatever for time, RICO wise, whether it's federal or whatever. Now that's the problem. All of these cases that are related to gang activity are supposed to be classified as RICO and sent to the penitentiary. A lot of them, most of them, and it's not a good thing, are just sent to the regular jails or the state penitentiaries. You have to go to federal route. You just can't be in a regular jail. That's not federal. That's state county jail. That's a jail. That's not a federal penitentiary. In the federal penitentiary, they have to overfeed you. They have to feed you a lot because it's way crazier in a federal penitentiary. It's relaxed, but when it's cracking and popping, it's cracking and popping in a federal penitentiary. And it's all types of ways to get out of a federal penitentiary. It just depends if a police officer is going to rearrest you and bring you back to the jail and not allow you to get in contact with the federal officers and the federal government and your federal lawyer when it goes federal. You see how you can have a federal lawyer and the federal lawyer might not come down to the state or the city in the country in the county? You see what I'm saying? So y'all been living like a bipolar complex your whole life. And I say that because everybody has been struck money-wise. And we was all scared to do blue and white collar crimes. But me as a young kid, I already seen that it wasn't legal, like federally, but it was legal state and city-wise. You can do that shit. You can scam federal-wise, and the state police cannot do shit to you. And they won't. The people that get nabbed and they're doing it is because they're doing other fucked up shit. They're doing other brazen physical shit, or they're physically stealing. When you rob somebody, it's not the fact that you take the money, it's the force that you use. The money doesn't belong to the police. The money doesn't belong to you. The money doesn't belong to the police. The money doesn't belong to the state. It belongs to the federal government. So the federal government already knows that this type of shit happens, and they don't care. So that's why the state judges, she tries to give you 15 to 20 years for being as brazen and malice and being malicious and offensive and taking the bread. Certain people get robbed in the street, they get 3 years. Certain people robbing the bank, you get 15 to 20. Or if you rob somebody and do them too grimy, you get 15, 20 years, 10 years. That's just the state coming down on you. Now listen, if you continue to reach out to the federal people, the Division of Human Rights, that is one accessible in every state, when you in the EEOC, when you can continue to reach out to those federal people, they come and they give you like a blessing, like they forgive you, and they pick on the people that has been judging you all of this time. They start picking on them first because there's nothing that they could do. So the people that picked on you, they're about to get picked on. And when people lock in and they notice that that's about to happen to the people that's been picking on them, they want that shit to happen to them. If you're molesting me, kicking me out the house, and all of a sudden in a matter of 3 weeks, you're kicked out the house and homeless, you start to look at life a little different. And that's what the federal government is. It's degree censorship. They act on certain things. How? Incorporeal when you're talking to somebody, if they doing certain sign language, you got certain bad behaviors. Another thing, subconscious. Is this person walking with an imaginary person, or you just bringing things from left and right? Another aspect, Indian culture thing that they use in federal guidelines, Vastu Shastra, dwelling teaching. It's actually 4 things: dwelling teaching, and then it's something connected together. So they use the system. The system is basically common sense. If there's a flooded, say if it's a projects, right? And it's flooded of bad people, you're not gonna build a bank or an amusement park right in the middle of the projects. It's called Vastu Swastika. Dwelling in teaching, right? And then they show a woman that a woman is a way. So look what I just taught you: dwelling in teaching. So it's the projects. You're not gonna put amusement park in there 24/7. You're not gonna leave it in there 24/7. First of all, you're not gonna put a bank in there 24/7, or a bank there, period. That's just right. It's common sense. So if you're looking at somebody that has a mental health problem, right, and there's something called a fucking common sense, but you're claiming you have mental health, but you have a job, kids, and a dog, and you know what I'm saying, you have a car, the federal government now looks at you as some subconscious freakazoid, because it's only fair. Angle, word, degree.
For that reason, you done destroyed lives. And you realize that if you don't make this decision right now to start fighting and looking for loopholes, you're going to die in a jail. The same jail, or a different jail, but jail, where you led thousands of young boys to the same decision.
And there it is. There it is. Hassan wins this. Hassan is not the tallest person in the world. I know he looks like a bulldog in, on film or whatever. In person, he is really stocky. I know what happened to him. He took that for a friend. One of his friends, one of his associates, I don't know if they're still cool, was jabbed in the back with an illegal steroid that the friend had illegally brought in the country. Now he works for the politicians, and he's an immigrant that's married to a white man, right? But however, he has a following, and other people are taking intravenous steroids that has COVID-19 in it and putting it in people's food at supermarkets and stuff like that. Okay? So, it was some sick way of thinking. They thought people was just going to start working out and get strong or whatever. That's why you see a lot of people, are sick and stuff like that. A lot of people are dying. And, he got nabbed with a whole bunch of steroids coming from another country. So, everybody felt some type of way that people and it was the gay community, not to put dirt on y'all, but he's a part of the gay community and he's an advocate for it. It's on the internet when you type his name in the search engine. His whole story about him being an immigrant young boy messing with an older man that's probably old enough to be his grandfather, and this is all this immigrant knows is his life to escape. And it's thousands and millions of kids that's just like him and they know each other. You start to see what the fuck is going on. It's a bunch of shade and it's a bunch of dark shit. It's a bunch of evil ass women that's older. They're fucking little kids and they grooming them to kill somebody that they hate. It's all types of shit going on, especially in New York. Exactly, New York, because of the immigration sanctuary city factor. So everything is fucked up, and the other family members from other states want to come over here and they want to just blow this whole shit up. You understand where I'm coming from? So, me personally, he told a story about a person he knows. The dude does look older, head full of hair, straight hairline. He healthy, he works out. 100% he used the creatine. He used the bottle, he got the beep. When you complete the bottle, you get a beep, right? It's a congratulations. Let's just face it, those big, strong people weigh a lot. When they do it the right way, those people are 300 and 400 pounds, the bigger they are. They weigh way more than you give them credit for. I get a lot of owls and eyes at my physique because I'm small or whatever, but I'm sharp when I'm intact or whatever. You know? So people that get intravenous steroids put in their arms or whatever, I can imagine people get intimidated. And plus, you know, I shadow box and stuff like that out in public. So I still try to stay shifty for that grand payday on YouTube because I cannot be a pro fighter. So since we postponed and prolonged and whatever's whatever, you look at the circumstances. Hassan is coming at him because he knows him what? Personally. And the omen, the word omen is what? Foretelling the future. Foreseeing the future. Just seeing it. So that goes in the realms of incorporeal, right? Because it's dark coming to the light. So it's incorporeal, and then when it comes to light, it's corporeal. That's what makes subconscious becomes conscious. That's why it's talking, right, and fighting. Or even thinking. So I can't hate Hassan Campbell for warning 3,000 people an hour ago that if you love this guy, you shouldn't because he had it coming. And a lot of times the CEOs and the police officers are dirty and they want people to go to jail and get killed on some dirty shit. And a lot of times the police are just racist and they look like they justified by letting this quote unquote street justice happen. But the other side of the fence, the other party that's a pro for Allah Brim, that's probably his family, that's probably his friends, they probably have a problem with the jail and the cops and the CEOs. They said just fuck the jails, the cops and the CEOs. No more arrests. Whoever got problems, let's just get it over right here in the streets. Now they've been saying that since my grandmother been a little girl. She would have been in her 80s, high 80s, 90s, you feel me? Heading to the 90s. And she hate the cops. And my grandma is racist. And she hated white people, and she would serve a white people. That's the definition of a 180. Was my grandmother, black and white. She would serve the white man to a T for years, and then as soon as the switch is off, the hate is just, if it's not eye level at where she left the good, it's above, too much above. It's like the Antarctica fucking boundary. They used to think she was Asian. And she not. You see what I'm saying? But my grandmother is she's racist, but she's a light-skinned woman, and she's black racist because both of her parents is Terrence Blood Crawford's complexion. So if her mother and father is both black as hell, I'm talking about jet black. Constant that when it's on black, my haters black, yeah. Terrence, yeah. I'm talking about the dark, yeah, but they from here. They from North Carolina and Virginia. You see what I'm saying? And they was racist back in the day, and they was raised that way, and that shit has been strong until now. But understand that my grandmother was light skinned, like Asian, and both of her parents is jet black. So for him to have a visual, it helps because this person looks like people that you probably wouldn't fuck with in the streets.
You didn't give them a chance to get out, La Brem. So why should they give you a chance to get out? In the Navy, a captain leads everybody off of the ship before he gets off that ship. Or that captain goes down with that ship.
Okay. And that's what a Caribbean and a Spanish person was back in the day. They was captains of the ships. They was conquistadors. Them niggas was pirates. That's what the Caribbeans was known for. That's what you don't understand. If you look at the movie titles, they met the white man, and the white man gave them a classification because everybody had to come together through language. So it was different types of language that the white man learned in different ways to communicate with a certain type of look or a certain type of skin color that had a certain type of look. You see what I'm saying? So that's the word again, degree and angling. When you're angling something, or when you're degreeing something, or when you're angling yourself and you're degreeing yourself.
La Brent with his selfish ass, you jumped off the ship and abandoned all your soldiers and left them with no guidance. I want to go home. I just want to go home. You decide that now? It is what it is, man. Certain topics, it just brings out who I am, the best of me. And I don't cut no corners for suckers. Hit that like button. Hit that share button.
See, you can respect it. Because I don't want to be around La Brim. And Hassan wants to be around La Brim to see the dirt that he's doing. See, I'm not going to use La Brim no longer. But I know that's not his birth name. I'm not going to throw that at him. I'm already up on the gang shit a long time ago, as you can see. So, everybody know how I feel. You feel what I'm saying? But just to keep it cool right now, if it's that bad, determining what Hassan went through as a child and then seeing what he's talking about now, I wouldn't want to be the person to be around La Brim. I probably would be the person stepping to him for something or whatever. You see what I'm saying? So certain people be like, well, Hassan, when you seen him, you didn't act on it, but now he in jail, you didn't act on it. But Hassan just living his life. And me, I don't have a problem with that. Because this is La Brim's destination. His destination is to go where he is right now. And Hassan is saying, listen, this is what's going to happen to him. So angle degree. Front or back door. Nobody has a license for this. So you being the judge, jury, and the prosecution at the same time when you make content about certain things and people individually about certain topics and on certain topics and around it and everything connected to it. When you go through a licensing to be eligible to talk about stuff like this, they groom you and season you. And if you do not pass in front of them, you will never, ever, never, ever be able to be certified to do this. And it's fair game. Either you get sued or you get killed. That's how serious they could get. You feel me? I'm just saying. So he stepped to him. They didn't get along. He got a rep. He letting everybody know homie got a rep. Now I don't tune into certain pages at all. But if you're using my content, if I come across your page and I know you don't know something, you're just trying to, look up something that I said, I might watch you just to see where it goes. So
hit that subscribe button and pay attention to your circle before they hurt you. And all you young boys out there that's watching me, and even you older dudes that's still caught up in the streets, remember something. Those first line of defense It's making it home to your children, to your sick mother that need her green tea, high blood pressure medicine, arthritis medicine, or maybe even needed to make it to her chemotherapy, whatever it is. You know that song? Things I miss at home.